Choosing the right hosting provider for your website if you're using a page builder is essential for maximizing performance. Pro page builders for WordPress like Divi, Elementor, and Beaver Builder have both minimum requirements and recommended server configurations. Most hosts don't have their servers pre-configured. If you're using a page builder and have not made these adjustments, your site is not going to perform as expected. In this video, I'm going to tell you which host is the best on the market for running a page builder. I'll show you how to find your page builder's recommended server settings. Let's get started. First question that we're going to ask ourselves is, why is choosing a good host important?
I don't know.
Think of hosting like building a house. What's the most important thing when you're building a new home? The most important thing is your foundation. If you have a faulty foundation, the odds of your house coming down sooner rather than later is going to be much greater than if you have a great foundation. So hosting is the foundation of your website. If you're serious about your business, you need to be serious about your hosting. Bottom line. So don't skimp out and cheap out and grab one of these $3 shared hosting. I'm going to talk about why you don't want to do that. What are some of the differences between hosting plans out there? Currently, there are 4 main different types of hosting plans. Shared, VPS, which stands for Virtual Private Server, Dedicated, and Cloud Hosting, and I'll tell you a little bit about each one of these. So shared hosting is the one that you're probably most familiar with. It's the one that's marketed the most by affiliate marketers most of the time. Hosting companies pay really big commissions for affiliates for you to send traffic to their hosting. So what does a shared host mean? What does that mean? Well, basically you have a server, a hosting company will have a server in a data center, and on that server there may be, let's just use 1,000 different websites on that shared hosting. And what that simply means is that you are sharing all of the resources on that server with all 999 other websites. Why does that matter to you? Well, that matters because you're only as secure and safe as your neighbor in a shared environment. Because you're sharing the resources, it means that not every site is created equal. There's probably going to be some websites who have been on there for years that possibly haven't even been updated, that have security vulnerabilities. And if they're affected, it doesn't matter if you're doing everything that WordPress recommends and you're doing things by the book, you're updating your plugins, you're keeping your website secure from hackers. In shared hosting, you're only as secure as your neighbor. So if they're not updating their plugins and a security vulnerability comes out, one of those plugins, the odds of you being hacked are great. I mean, they're really great. You're going to get hacked if they get hacked. That's just one of the downfalls of shared hosting because you're sharing resources. Well, a step up from shared is a VPS. VPSs are virtual private servers. What does that mean? That means that you get dedicated resources on the server. It's like a server within a server. So even though you're on the same machine as, let's say, the same 1,000 users, you actually have dedicated resources to you, and you're typically walled off to where you are secure. So if you're doing best practices and everything that you can do to keep your site secure, your WordPress updated, your plugins, your theme updated, you're going to be okay, even if your neighbor doesn't do those things. It's not going to affect you. So VPS is a little bit higher level. Next level is a dedicated server. Well, it is what it is. It means that you have the whole server. Only you use the server resources. These are typically servers that are saved for really high trafficked websites that generate a lot of revenue. Their main businesses, the main business that they do is online. So, e-commerce websites, really big blogs that have millions of visitors coming to their websites, typically are on dedicated servers. They're the most expensive. They cost a lot more. However, all of the resources are yours, and they are the most secure. Cloud hosting is totally different. It's very similar to the VPS in that you have dedicated resources and the servers are in the cloud. They're virtual, so to speak. They're not hard servers like a virtual private server is actually still a machine. Think of a computer at your desk. Servers are the same. They have RAM, they have hard drives, etc. And cloud resources is your website's hosted in the cloud and it's run by software and stuff as opposed by hardware. So there is a difference there. And cloud's really good. I mean, cloud's come a long ways these days. So those are the different types of hostings. Well, which type of hosting plans should page builders use? It depends on the type of website that you have. So if you're a local business and you focus locally only in your town and you just have a brochure website so that people can find you, get your contact information, learn a little bit about who you are, who your company is, and what your products and services are, you're probably going to be okay with a certain type of shared hosting. You wouldn't need the resources of a VPS. I personally will never recommend shared hosting to anyone who has a website because remember, step one up above, back the video up. If you're serious about your business, you need to be serious about your hosting. And with shared, you're only as secure as your neighbor. So even though you have a brochure website and you're not demanding a lot of resources, I would probably lean towards a managed shared hosting environment such as WP Engine, WPMU Dev, those types of environments where you actually get a little bit more security than shared hosting at Bluehost or HostGator or GoDaddy or any of the other platforms and stuff. The next website is, let's say you have an e-commerce website. I'm going to say right here on this YouTube, the Digital Buddha does not recommend anything less than a VPS or dedicated server. Let me share some of our experience with you. When we started Divi.space and AspenGroveStudios.com, e-commerce websites where we sell plugins and themes for WordPress, as our sites grew and our company grew, we outgrew all of our hosting. So we initially were on VPS, virtual private servers, thinking that we were fine because we had allocated resources and everything would be great. Well, what we found out was that a VPS wasn't good for us. We outgrew it. We had the highest VPS plan and we kept having server issues because, as our site grew and sales spiked and stuff, our site would have issues. It started running slower and stuff, and that can hurt you on a lot of levels with the search engines. For one thing, part of Google's algorithms today is site speed. Well, it's really important. So we eventually moved over to dedicated servers, and I'm going to say I probably would not have an e-commerce website without a dedicated server. Now, in the beginning, if you have no traffic and you're just getting started, absolutely jump on a VPS. But if you have some traffic and you're growing, dedicated server is going to be the way to go. Yes, it is more expensive. Yes, it does cost quite a bit more money than all of the other hosting platforms. But at the end of the day, if you're running business and your business can't afford $1,000 to $2,000 a year on the most important thing that is going to keep your site online, you probably need to rethink your business strategy and maybe go into something else. So dedicated server is going to be the way to go. Memberships, LMSs, the different types of websites that you can have. Just depends on the size of the traffic that you have and how many calls to the database. So if you have a membership site or an LMS, which stands for Learning Management System, you're doing courses, you're teaching people. If you have a really big course that's making and a lot of students, and there's a lot of calls being made to that database and stuff, you're probably going to want one of the higher end hosting accounts like a VPS or the dedicated server and stuff. One shout out that I do want to give is to WPMU Dev. They've recently got into the hosting business, I want to say within the last couple of years. And you want to think of them as kind of the Costco of WordPress. So if you have like multiple sites, WPMU Dev's VPS servers, it gives dedicated resources, and their price point is amazing. It may not seem that way at first because, again, remember I said the Costco of WordPress. So, Costco, you have a membership, you get to come in and you get to take advantage of all of their great low prices. Everything's priced lower than if you walk into a regular grocery store because you have your Costco membership. WPMU Dev's the same way. They have a $49 a month, I believe, membership fee for WPMU Dev. But once you get inside, their VPS is only $10 a month. So technically it costs you $59 a month, which is great, but you're paying a membership. So I kind of wanted to explain that. And if you have more than one website, it's huge. Why is it huge? Because you're paying the $49 fee, and then you get every website that's a VPS at $10 a site. Well, that's huge. That's a pretty big deal. Divi Space Hosting, our own hosting company that we launched last year, is specifically designed for page builders. It's the only hosting company in the world, to my knowledge, that comes out of the gate optimized with the page builder recommended settings for your major page builders like Elementor, Beaver Builder, and Divi. So I don't think anyone else does that. I could be wrong. If somebody else does that, drop it in the comments. But to my knowledge right now, we're the only ones that does it. And it's huge. Our hosting is lightning fast. It's optimized for your page builder, and it's going to be the best environment that you can get for a page builder. I said all of the other ones first because I think it's important for you to do your own due diligence, find out what works best for you and stuff, and instead of just listening to a sales pitch from me. So what are some of the key features to look for when considering hosting for page builders? One of them is automatic daily backups. Backups are huge. Very, very important. If you lose your site, if it goes down, if it gets hacked for any reason, you need to be able to get it back quick, really fast. So automated daily backups is huge. Simplified staging. You want to make sure that the host that you're on has a staging environment, because you never, ever, let me say this again real quick. I'm leaning into the microphone. Never, ever, ever update your live site. You want to do all the testing and updates on your plugins on a staging site. Why is that? Because one plugin may not be compatible with another plugin, and WordPress, think of it as a bunch of pieces of software that are working together. It's like a fine-tuned machine. But if one of them does an update and this one doesn't do an update, and you update it, there's a potential that your site could crash. So that's why you want to do your updating on a staging site, so that you can see that the site's not affected in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Another thing that you want to look for is a built-in firewall. That's huge. Firewalls are for security and protection and stuff. Last but not least, free, simple SSL installation. SSL is important. There's no reason at all today why every website on planet Earth should not have an SSL certificate. What is an SSL? It's secure socket layer. It means that your website is secure. It's huge. It's important. If you don't have it, you're getting penalized from Google because you don't have it. They're free. I forget which SSL certificate is the one that's out there, but the major ones are free. They don't cost anything. So put an SSL on your website. So if you click the link up here or over here, I'm not sure where we're going to put this, you can get the Divi recommended server settings right away just by clicking the link if you're a Divi user. If you use any of the other page builders, check out the description below and we'll give you the link to the recommended server settings for those page builders. Be sure to watch the video that's coming up next so you can learn more.